Campers, it's me, Ari Lehman, the first Jason Voorhees. From Friday the 13th, I'm here with AJ, and he's got the juiciest slice ready for you. It's dripping with blood. Jason never dies.
What makes a horror film kill memorable, terrific, even in some way profound or poignant? Let's explore. Thanks for checking this out. If anything about it trips your fancy, please like, subscribe, and share.
Yes.
Without further ado...
What are you working on now?
Theme for a thriller. Story of a murder.
Mm-hmm.
Not anything to get enthusiastic about.
Unenthused composer Bruno has moved into an extravagant villa he's renting, as you would, while he finishes composing his current score.
I guess any kind of work can become routine.
Anyone else suspect?
Thriller music is always ghastly. Who's the culprit, bud?
This guy is just a red herring? After Tony, the property owner, leaves, Bruno cloisters himself away to work. The villa is huge and maybe a little creepy. Plus, since there's possibly an addled killer skulking about, the ambiance has that underlying chill that makes everything seem a little off-kilter and weird. Bruno, unaware he's in a horror film, seeks an explanation to make sense of the odd sounds and off feeling. A light out, huh? Oh geez, never a good omen when a rogue staring eye appears. Especially when it's expressly connected to a sharp cutting implement. The anomalous noises pushing him to sally forth. It's easy to suspect the main character armor the film seemed to equip him with might have a few chinks. Giving himself a chuckle, he's bolstered and keeps searching despite the momentary caginess that made him jump at the sight of his own face. Oh snap, who is she? More importantly, is she a danger? Some weirdo playing with a razor while unsuspecting Bruno closes in on his own undoing?
Oh, please kill it! I've never been so afraid in my life! It's a spider there on the floor! Kill it!
It's not a spider, it's a cockroach!
A fine how-do-you-do that proves Bruno has ice water in his veins. An attractive woman jumps through a door into his arms and it merits the barest reaction, when a reflection in a mirror almost made his bones jump out of his skin. Wonder what it reveals about him that he's more startled by his own face than a stranger springing out of a closet. I mean, this isn't the New York Ripper. He has no need of that kind of eternalized fear here.
Better now?
Yeah, I'm feeling much better. Bugs always affect me like that.
Bruno is far more gracious than many would be after catching a stranger in their living space.
Really just thinking about it. Look, I'm all goose flesh.
Yeah, you're right.
It helps that she's something of a looker. A woman who sparkles with energy.
I feel like I look terrible.
But that would only work to an extent on Bruno because he's spoken for and faithful.
Hey, can you lend a girl a cigarette?
Yet in the moment, Bruno proceeds, unconcerned,
Oh, sure. I think so.
and remains surprisingly accommodating of the unusual lady invading his turf.
Here.
She seems pleased she was so readily able to requisition something from him.
I never saw you before.
And?
Are you a friend of Linda's?
Linda? No.
I'm guessing no one ever accused Katia of having a meek bone in her body.
What's so amusing?
Your face.
My face?
Unless she allows weak men in her bed.
Nothing, your expression, that's all. I probably scared the pants off you out there before.
Demure she is not. Is she teasing? Testing? Or is there actually potential for a little... Bunny's going to bunny. Come on, flagrantly referencing pants coming off has to be some kind of pass, right?
Your expression says it all. Who is this mad lady who came jumping out at me out there in the hall?
Maybe she's an unwanted. You don't start a fire when there's nothing to burn. But welcome distraction. Anyone who's done a big creative project knows distractions are way too big of a temptation due to the creative process often being a grind, and not the more fun kind of grind.
I must say you're very perspicacious, because that is exactly what I was thinking.
Perspicacious? Gotta love a guy who tosses out a $5 word when nothing over 50 cents is required. Not like I myself have been accused of the same or anything. The mysterious lady certainly seems impressed.
You're cute.
Yeah, well, so are you.
Good, the pretty people have established their mutual attraction.
Is it a habit of yours sneaking into houses of neighbors?
Bruno seems a little suspicious, and dear Katia seeks to dispel any distrust through many men's kryptonite, heavy flirtation.
No, not a habit. Only when it's a good-looking man. How long you be here?
Presenting herself in a manner akin to some sort of courtship ritual, maybe she's attempting a speedrun at a lurid encounter. The lady really heaps it on.
Musician? I adore musicians. They're really great in bed.
And offers that hint of challenge that can act as a siren song.
How are you in the feathers?
Smartly deflecting, Bruno's feathers prove unruffled and unflappable, and he flips it back on her.
Depends on the answers, mostly.
That depends on the questions.
Now, tell me the reason why you were hiding in that closet.
Is her flirtation genuine, and she wants to go to bed with him, or is she playing a game for her own reasons? Either way, her response is quite telling.
Do you like your stories real simple, or would you prefer them more elaborate? What kind of lie would you like to hear?
At least she's truthful about her dishonesty.
Go answer it. Saved by the bell.
The seeming directness of her disappointment makes her next actions a little befuddling, but then she's a woman difficult to pin down, at least for the time being. Bruno seems to suspect she's a bit of a flake.
In the meantime, I would appreciate your getting it together.
The call is from
Tony Rendina. Everything copacetic?
Well, Bruno explains.
Hey, some of the light switches here don't seem to function. What is it?
The bathroom. Where's the bathroom?
Yeah,
Katia pesters him.
the bathroom. Would you hang on a minute?
I gotta go. I
Out
can't
there to
hold
the
it.
right, down the corridor.
And then leaves,
I was saying maybe it's not the switches. Maybe there are just some bulbs missing.
after giving a knowing look.
Well, I'm awfully sorry for the inconvenience. I bet it was that last tenant, Linda. She was a bit strange. She preferred a dark room.
Bruno ends the call and seeks out his spontaneous guest, but Katia apparently indeed proves a flake. At least she didn't overstay her welcome. Just as well, she was an unneeded diversion for a man with a deadline. Only he discovers something she left behind, a diary.
I've discovered Linda's secret,
A secret, huh?
and it's really terrifying and terrible.
Oh my.
But at the same time, it's fascinating. There's nobody I can tell it.
I wonder if that will have some overall bearing on the plot.
Angela wouldn't be able to understand, but I'm afraid to keep it to myself. I have this premonition.
To some degree intrigued and curious. There's still music to compose, and Bruno resumes work. Unclear whether or not she got what she sought, Katia looks to Amscray. Only her eyes seem to perceive something in the layered darkness. I don't think that's what she was hoping to see go up, if she exactly saw it. Maybe just a glimmer. She's given no time to make considerations. As the darkness gains substance and springs at her. Set upon and bleeding, suddenly consumed by a vortex of terror, she tries to make tracks as Bruno's music conceals her desperate pleas. But the brutal pursuer keeps pace, blade at the ready. A little sidewalk salsa with a pillar helps nothing. Is she trying to fake the killer out? In a flick like this, there's never help to be found behind locked doors, and her pleading draws no support as the malicious attacker gives her no quarter. Oh damn, she's so scared she leapt that rail like a hurdle. With little choice but to keep going. She descends deeper. And seeks a hidey hole to conceal herself. No sooner than she's ensconced behind wire mesh, the cruel aggressor appears, but as quickly goes away. Oh, thank goodness, I think she'll... Eek! Discovered, there's nowhere to go, no place to escape. Like an animal in a snare, unable to avoid the trapper's club, the aggressor makes mincemeat of her. Slashing at her vitals. Until inflicting the final bit of slice and dice. She's left with her face pressed lifelessly into the wire mesh like some kind of macabre art piece. With Katia silenced forever, the killer has to worry about her body. And proceeds to move it around. A lot. Did I mention the body had to be moved? Bruno catches something strange in his recording and isolates some dialogue that enhances the mystery of it all.
Secret. Yes. Linda.
This mysterious Linda person seems to be our killer. She has a secret, she doesn't want it out, and Katia was asking Bruno about her, suggesting she might have too loose of lips. Nah, this guy isn't a red herring at all. Bruno will come close. To discovering something's up. But ultimately be shut down, at least for the time being. What makes some exits extraordinary comes down to an odd flux and heady confluence of intrigue, mystery, high tension, misdirection, and just plain weirdness. In this case, it was preceded with dashes and strokes of character interplay laced with flicks of something nefarious. Oh, and brutal bloody violence delivered in thick splats, can't forget that. This one swirled all those shades and textures together, and what ended up on the canvas would at once satisfy fans of Picasso and Goya, by striking a balance of the absurdly twisted and morbidly dark.
Shut up and take my money!
Unlucky Katia is otherwise a privileged young woman with the heart of a rebel. She maybe unknowingly rode a razor's edge when she chose to gleefully engage Bruno in some sort of tit-for-tat he had no desire to engage in, yet humored. Enigmatic in her pursuit, when she first appears and speaks in such an open and brazen manner, hinting at sexual desire, is it any wonder he might have suspected she was just a horny girl looking for a paramour, while thoughts of ulterior motives were probably far from his mind? With her sparkling personality, she's so pithy and vivacious it's not hard to understand why he let her carry on. Diplomatic Bruno is interesting for only that one reason. He allowed Katia to stick around and humored her possible chicanery. Maybe he was just curious. Maybe he was looking for an excuse to take a break. What's certain? Katia's inclusion in Bruno's life and sudden disappearance were the catalyst that forced him to be part of the mystery connected to the villa, so she did him no favors.
Yep, that stands up to scrutiny.
The whole conversational lead-up to the exit feels like some kind of weird foreplay. snazzy jazzy Katia taking the lead, feeling out remote Bruno, his resistance to her thirst trap coaxing her into ever-increasing forwardness. All things considered, it doesn't come off as casual flirting, so much as an act played out with some agenda with a goal that isn't sex, no matter her boldness of tongue and seeming conveyance of easiness. So if acting risky wasn't ever meant to turn frisky, why was sneaky and cheeky Katia so openly flirtatious, increasing her boldness with every line? I believe she was compensating for her discomfort. I mean, there's no doubting she's a hottie who's a little spotty. She was caught spying, likely because the spider gave her a fright, and even though Bruno is friendly, he won't allow himself to be wrapped around her little finger, which his continuing questioning proves. A little sassy with a fine chassis goes a long way with many men, but that's a shiny lure he won't take. So she keeps turning up the dial, likely puzzled that her wiles and innate sexiness seem to have zero effect on Bruno beyond his acknowledgement of her attractiveness. When she said,
"Saved by the bell,"
it seems directed at Bruno, but it's her who's saved, since for her the next step would have likely involved making a fool of herself by making a physical play, because where else was there to go? Once she knew Bruno had no knowledge of Linda, she had no more use of him. Yet her seeking that non-information likely led to her losing her life. Was she hoping Bruno was an acquaintance of Linda? Someone she could feel out and possibly confide in? Someone who might also know the secret? Have insight? That look in her eyes before she slipped through the door implies she knew too much, especially when Tony turns out to be deeply connected with, Linda, despite his casual mention of her to Bruno. Since the setup is carefully designed to conceal how many people are in the villa, Katia has that Schrodinger's cat duality of possibly being both the nefarious weirdo with the extendable box cutter, or just the weirdo breaking and entering for mystifying purposes, until she is revealed to be the victim. Where do her curiosities lie, her motives? What is she hoping to manifest? Knowing Linda's secret, what does that mean in regards to the wider ramifications? Since she loses her life over it, obviously the stakes were higher than maybe even she realized, and suggests she did not feel the secret bore the same relevance or level of importance as did the killer, which, in context of things, makes some sense, because at this point in time, the film was made in 1983. Such revelations could ruin a person's whole standing, but an entitled, maybe a little spoiled young woman might not understand that. When you learn who the killer is and their motives, none of this seems to make sense, but maybe there's some explanation for the timing of how everything plays out that explains what seems like discrepancies, even egregious moments of logic.
Any other problems?
No, because I would say the timing issues don't matter in the least ways, or detract at all from Katia's exit. The whole thing is a display of brutality. This is a torturous, prolonged, and grueling event, and she's aware throughout the sustained attack, all the way to the vicious coup de grace. Bracing stuff. The unintentional message of an exit can be a little funny and ironic too. Katia indulged in the unhealthy vice of smoking, and might have lived long enough to die of cancer or heart disease, but that's moot. Her being a smoker only contributed to her demise in a minor way, if at all. I don't think she was hiding in the villa hoping to bum a smoke. She was there to spy on the new leaseholder, and a cigarette was just a pretext to more conversation, and maybe to calm her nerves after getting caught trespassing. The spider may have contributed to her need for the calming effects of a nicotine fix too. Experts say smoking even one cigarette can have a detrimental effect on health, but does that matter when at any time a killer could get all slashy? In the end...
I tell you what didn't kill her. Smoking.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, not great messaging. I've about reached the end of the rope, so I won't keep you dangling. Thanks for hearing out my conjecture. Please share any refutations, opinions, accusations, japes, or other ideas in the comments below. And please check out whatever I'm up to next time. Bye now!
Bye, creepy man! Keep it creepy!
He's a weird guy.